food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome to the House of Ghouls Horror Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Van Ghoul, here as always with my co-host, Colby. We have a very special episode here today. We are joined by Aaron and Victoria Fradkin. They are the director, co-writers, and star of the upcoming film, Beezel. Victoria and Aaron, how are you doing today?
Doing very well. Very
So
happy
excited.
to be here. Yeah.
We are finally ready to share this movie with the world. So
We can't wait.
That's amazing. And thank you for taking time out to chat with us today. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks so much for having us. We're pumped to be here.
Absolutely. So we'll just get right into it. So I'm curious, since you both wrote the story, what inspired you to write this?
well, how much time do you have? Because
About an hour.
the story really begins when I moved into the house that we actually shot the film in 1994. I was 6 years old. And as a 6-year-old living in this terrifying haunted house, you can imagine where your mind goes. My bedroom was right above the basement, also that we shot a lot of the movie in. And inside the basement was this like old creaky boiler system that would just kind of rattle the house within the walls. Right next to that was this terrifying crawl space that extended the entire length of the house. And as a kid, you know, sometimes if I had friends over, we would go into the crawl space. I would never go in by myself. But you know, I was sort of just imagining all of these horrifying things that could happen. And so fast forward to last year when we were writing the film, I was just sort of taking a trip down memory lane, imagining what I was just sort of reminding myself of every experience and crazy thought that I had as a 6-year-old. And this movie is sort of a culmination of all of those memories and imaginations.
Oh yeah. So it's childhood nightmares. And I'm pretty sure that around that time, your parents were rumbling about likely selling that house. That had always been kind of like a whisper, like they might, but then it was starting to become official. And we realized this is an amazing house. Like it was trapdoors, it has crawl spaces, it has weird stone cement stains in the basement that really to this day, I don't know what they are from. And we have to write something for this. So that was the kicking us in the butt as writers to finally like, okay, we are going to pursue this and this is going to be the story that we do. And then I think it did tip in the favor of, you know, this eternal insatiable witch, because we're shooting in Western Massachusetts. Massachusetts is obviously very, very well known for having its witch lore.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were tackling a series of characters that were each going to have their own you know, horrifying things going in their lives and motivations. And it felt like the right fit that this witch could be kind of tickling those nerves and like yanking on all of their insecurities as the antagonist to their storyline. So that felt like the right fit.
I can't tell you how stressful this is right now, being under embargo for this movie, to like let people know how good and how hard this movie goes.
Oh my gosh, yes. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
went there.
I think I'm under embargo until tomorrow. I can release it tomorrow. So I recorded it right after I watched it, and it's just sitting in my drafts. I'm like, I can't wait to post this. I will say that Beezel, I can't decide if Beezel or another one that I can't talk about until tomorrow actually is my number one of the year right now. But it's
Really?
it's there. It's definitely gonna. I mean, there's still a lot of time left, but I've no doubt it's gonna make my top 10.
Oh, I love that. Should we be best friends right now or start tomorrow? Like
We can start now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, this is easily one of the scariest and most unsettling movies that I've seen in a long time. So how did you find that kind of perfect balance between like effective jump scares and like the eerie atmosphere?
So we've written a lot of comedy films, and the way that I like to approach comedy and horror is don't think about what's funny, don't think about what's scary, just write a really good story and develop your characters and just take the subject matter very seriously. Once you do that, you can then go back to page 1 and say, okay, I just need to add jokes to it. Okay, I just want to add some jump scares. So the jump scares and the jokes really should be the last thing on your mind. At least it is for me. But yeah, if you don't care about the characters and you're not invested in the story, the jump scares and the build up to the jump scares, they're just not really going to have as much of an impact.
He does that really well, but I'm like a kid on Christmas morning. I cannot stop myself from being like, ooh, and if that were to happen in this part of the house, that is where the scares will happen. And so I think that you do a really great job of giving us this undercurrent of drama with our characters. And then I'm sitting there like, and this is where it's gonna get.
That's pretty much the
scary."
dynamic. I'm just like, no, the characters need more depth. Like nobody's gonna care about them
Is
if you
anyone
don't
crying yet? And I'm
like
like,
where did she come from and why? What is her motivation here?
and I'm like, let's talk about dark closets.
But also sometimes the scares just come about from a very kind of practical standpoint where I learned a new effect in After Effects, or I learned a new visual effect or camera gag that I can do, and I just want to sort of audition it and see how that works and see how we can fit that within the story, because it's what we love about horror. It's like it's a combination of special effects, makeup, costume design, visual effects, magic tricks, and hopefully a really, really good story.
I love that you were focusing on the characters, because we have kind of 4 different time frames throughout the movie, and each one I was so invested into those characters that I could watch a full movie of each of those time frames, but it worked really, really well. So I think you all did an amazing job.
Thank you.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, was the investment in the characters. I don't want to give anything away, but there was a certain character that I was introduced to and I became attached to instantly. And then what happened to that character, I was not happy about, but what happened, it was great seeing and the effects for it. So,
I know exactly who you're talking about.
yep.
And I have to say, on set too, that doesn't change. Like you're sitting there on set thinking, oh my gosh, it's like we're just getting going with this character. We'll call him character A. And then you're,
Yeah.
oh no. And then that's it. No, what? And then so I mean that's how I felt on the days. And then we keep going. So it's I felt that way back then too when we were filming it.
Yeah,
No, it was amazing. The amount of emotions it made me feel. I really emphasize on the writing in my review that I made. I was just blown away by everything.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so
much,
much.
because that is an area that we constantly always go back to and analyze. This could be for short films or past features
Mhm.
that we worked on, and always proud of the product. It's or project. It's not really that. It's more of when we look back and we analyze like how could we have done better. It tends to live in the writing, and the writing is that part where it's words on page plus your imagination and your knowledge of your abilities. So I think that is this really great unknown for a filmmaker. And
Mhm.
the more you do it, the better that muscle, the tighter that muscle grows. So I really am extremely complimented by what you just said, because this is always something that I'm reflecting on.
I love that. And you said you guys have written and done comedy before this. Does doing this and seeing these early reactions like this motivate you to do more horror?
Well, I think what I love about comedy and what I love about horror is that you get such a visceral reaction
Mhm.
from your audience. Every filmmaker, every artist has a little bit of insecurity, right? And so you want to be able to see your audience physically react, whether it
Mhm.
be laughter or screams. It's a very, very rewarding thing. Will I ever make comedy again? I mean, absolutely.
It's such
Even in the horror films that we make, there's always a couple of laughs, I think.
It connects so well.
It does. I mean, they're at the end of the day, they're very similar in that you kind of
Mhm.
have a build up, build up, build up, and punchline.
Yes, the
Uh,
timing.
yeah, so directorially, creatively, there are a lot of similarities. I would say what I do like about horror is that it's a lot more atmospheric and you can take
Mhm.
some more bold risks, At least it works better in my opinion. It would be strange to make like I mean, although while I describe this in my mind, this actually does sound kind of cool, a very atmospheric, dark comedy.
I'm like, ooh.
But you know, it just sort of fits together with the horror genre very, very well.
Mhm.
I say that the story is very original. I found it all to be very original. Did you take any inspiration from other horror films or some of your favorite horror films or stories?
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes consciously, sometimes not consciously. Like I said, you know, Evil Dead was one of my all-time favorite movies growing up. So taking a page out of Sam Raimi's book was a huge inspiration. I don't think we went as wacky and crazy and funny as Sam Raimi, but a lot of like the visual scares and you know, effects that we did were inspired by that. I love the movie Sinister. I think that's like such a dark, just twisted, creepy film and such a great use of 8mm film format.
I got very heavy Sinister vibes in the
Yeah.
beginning of Beezel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember if we saw Barbarian after we made Beezel.
I can't, I think we probably saw it around the time that we were crafting it. Around
But
that
what I like about Barbarian and what it has in common with Beezel is this very unpredictable nature where
Mhm.
could be half an hour into this film and then the story completely flips on its head and you're like, what the hell am I watching? Like, what is this movie actually about? And it kind of just like dangles the carrot in front of you so you want to keep watching until you reach the end and then retrospectively you're like, oh, that's what the movie is really about.
Mhm.
And that's why I think this film leaves you with such like a chilling, you know, vibe. It's you
Mhm.
just yeah, it's unpredictable and you feel like you just never know what's right around the corner.
Yeah, I got all the vibes from all those movies you just listed. I was gonna say the beginning, without giving anything away, felt very Pennywise inspired.
Yes.
Yep.
I absolutely love that scene. I probably watched it and read that chapter over a dozen times. And, you know, as a writer, you don't always realize how influenced you are by it until you literally watch back the dailies or even watch back the finished product and you're like, oh wow, that's that's inspired. But I hope that people take that as an homage of absolute love
Mhm.
for it because yeah, it's one of the most incredible, awesome tension building scenes.
But the opening was even, it wasn't, that's an example where it wasn't even consciously inspired by. We filmed that scene in a laundry shoot,
Yeah.
which is actually in the house.
So we knew we wanted to use that laundry chute and it just like, you know, connecting the dots, it just kept moving in that direction. And yeah, we were definitely gonna use that laundry chute because like I call it the murder hole, but the family tells me it's a laundry chute.
Yeah, let's go with murder hole. That's what it is.
There's a lot of easy access to the basement that I never really understood. A lot of vents that just straight down into the, you know, JJ Holmes designed the house. It's a lot of that.
I definitely got a lot of Sam Raimi vibes with the look of the old lady, especially the scene when she's in that's in the trailer when she's sitting up on the bed and made me think instantly of Drag Me to Hell. And like just kind of the look of the Deadites, I loved that. Just the imagery in this movie, I thought the design of the witch itself was fantastic. What inspirations did you have for designing the witch?
Well, let me shine a spotlight on Victoria because she really spearheaded that effort
Thank
and
you
made the
very
witch look terrifying and realistic, most importantly.
Yeah, I mean, she jumped from the page based on her lore. So once we
Mhm.
understood her lore, and that was a process, it wasn't like we didn't know straight away what her backstory was and where she came from. And then that grows, you know, as you understand why the characters are being pushed by who their antagonist is, you understand better what your villain is up to.
Mhm.
So understanding that Beezel is this ancient creature who's been around since certainly she's like the genesis of time and likely doing devils with the deals with the devil herself. That was an inspiration for her name, you know, Beelzebub. We've got Beezel. And then her physical look was really an iteration of gnarled tree branches. So I'm thinking of like ancient trees that have been around since prehistoric times. And then we've got Beezel, this like gnarled tree, like scraggly thing that's still, you know, going to come and get you. for all of time.
And all the witchy trees that you see throughout the film, which in the script are actually described as witchy trees. And our DP was like, so when you say witchy trees, like what do you mean by that? And I'm like,
like,
well, we'll find them. We're in
find
New England in the winter. We'll find some witchy trees.
They're everywhere.
I love that. No, like the design, it wasn't over the top. It wasn't too little. I thought it was fantastic. So props to you for that.
I want to say too that the filming style, it's like a perfect mix of found footage and then like traditional film. Did you find it hard to find that like perfect blend between the two?
That was always the intention, to show the passage of time through a change in technology. So the film does have a very anthological feel in that it's split up into pretty much 3 distinct sections, but they're all very connected to each other. So it's really a story about how one generation's trauma affects the next and then the next. Creatively, I just wanted to shoot on film. I wanted to shoot practically on VHS. So we actually shot part of it on 8mm film. We shot part of it on the GRC1. So that was actually the same camera that they used in Back to the Future. And then we shot on mini DV. And each form of technology is appropriate for the decade that that part of the story takes place in. So, you know, it really wasn't too difficult to do. It was always sort of the plan from the get-go. I think we bought that JVC camcorder for a shocking like $700 or something.
Amazing, yeah. But right before we got into writing Beezel, before we'd even knew we were going to go in that direction, we had made a mini series on our YouTube channel called Death Record. And that was, I think, unless you can think of something else, the first time that you really started flexing that muscle of moving from the found footage to the Cinecam so seamlessly. And we started noticing this just cool personality to that style. And yeah, it just jumped out to us as a strong piece. And I think that was something that also really directed us. Yes, exactly. That's Death Record right there.
That looks I'm subscribing right now. That looks gnarly.
So that was just something that at least I watched as your wife, but also viewer, going, "Ooh, that was dope! Like we should do something more like that. Like, let's rock. Let's keep going."
Well, that combination of found footage and then, you know, cinematic cam, third person cam, I guess as we call it, it just adds a level of realism to it, you know, and I don't necessarily want to make an entirely found footage film, but I do love the genre, and it's such a great way to sort of, you know, be fun and creative with your cinematography, but also get to include this hyper realistic found footage element, which I think makes things so much scarier.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because I mean we're both huge fans of found footage as well, and obviously we watch horror movies of all different types. So usually like we'll get like a traditional movie that maybe has a scene or two of you know, kind of quote unquote found footage. But this I thought I loved the mix that we get a kind of equal amount of both, and it just worked really well. It was really effective. So I just want to say fantastic job.
Yeah. We actually feature 3 different aspect ratios in the film for anyone that's interested. That wasn't an easy decision to make, actually. But yeah, I mean, the 8mm film, the VHS, the mini DV, the red Komodo, which we shot, you know, the cinema mode in, each one of those has a different aspect ratio. So I was just scratching my head, like, you know, creatively thinking like, so do we want to change the aspect ratio? Do we want to keep this all in widescreen? I don't know, but we went with a change in aspect ratio throughout the entire film, which is something that you don't normally see in movies, honestly.
Did you guys do a festival circuit run with this?
We're actually kind of in that festival circuit run.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just started. The world premiere was at Popcorn Frights. Then coming up next is our international premiere at Grimfest in Manchester.
On October 3rd, right? Yeah, October 3rd.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then on to Lausanne, Swiss Film Festival, Ramskrik, and
We're doing
Splat.
we're doing like a whole
World
Euro world tour.
I love that. So you've been able, have you been at the festivals for some of the showings?
Not quite yet, but Aaron will be
Oh.
will be there representing Beezel.
I'm
Very
going
excited.
to Switzerland in a few weeks, and then we do have our producer Paul Kim and a couple of the cast members, Nicholas Robin and Caroline,
Mm.
going to Grimfest in
Yes.
Manchester.
I love that. I'm excited for you to see the live reactions because I wish I would have like filmed my reactions while watching this, because like Ian and I talk about it all the time. Like I love foreign horror. Foreign horror pushes a lot more boundaries than American horror, and this one pushed a lot of boundaries that I wasn't expecting.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, seeing the reactions, I am really, really bummed that I can't go on the international excursion. I'm very pregnant right now, so
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
the doctor advised me not to go on a 14-hour flight, so I'm not able to go. But I'm glad that the rest of the team is going to represent.
It's funny that what happens in the movie and the news you just told us now, kind of
I know.
it all adds up.
Aaron said that at the premiere, because we're having the premiere in LA this week, people are going to be like, "Is that real?" Or, and I was like, "Okay, this one's real."
Yeah, they're gonna think it's all part of the marketing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
well-
gonna say it's just for the marketing. That's how you guys really push the marketing. Let people know you're for real.
Committed.
So you both have obviously numerous credits to your names. What's one thing about Beezel, the production of Beezel, that kind of sets it apart from other things that you've both worked on?
The narrative structure that we told this movie in, I think it's unlike anything that I've ever seen, and it's definitely unlike anything I've ever done. Because we come from, a background of doing so many of these short horror films, we really approached Beezel from this perspective of wanting to tell a full feature-length cohesive story, but make sure that every single moment and scene feels like you're watching a new, fresh, short horror film. So it is very much like a bite-sized horror feel in the body of a feature-length movie. And I think that's what makes it cool and different.
It keeps you very engaged with that aspect. I mean, I think I would have been engaged no matter what with anybody's story, and throws you way off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard with Beezel, I love all the other stories we've done in the past, right? You always love the one you're working on, but with Beezel, once we realized what the movie was about, which is like, okay, imagine this haunted house, and we're actually not just going to stay with person A who moves into the haunted house. We're going to stay with the person B who moves in next and the person C who moves in after that. We're going to watch a haunted house as like the main character almost. That hooked me. And then I was like, oh shit, and I get to make this movie? Like, this is going to be my movie? I just got so excited to make this movie. I get excited to make all the past storylines, but Beezel she just stole the show in my heart for stories. I was very excited.
On a more personal level, of course, we shot this movie in the house that I grew up in, and so it was a very just emotional, time to be shooting this movie in a house that I've lived in since 1994, pretty much. And it was just a fun way to memorialize the house. And now anytime I want to go back there, I can always just watch this horrifying film.
Get ready for a lot of fans to show up at the house, wanting to see the house from Beezel now.
There were actually a couple kids in the neighborhood that went to the house with their parents because they knew we were shooting a movie there. And one kid asked their mom if Beezel was real.
Is Beezel in there?
Yeah, and if Beezel is still living in there.
Maybe.
There is a non-zero chance that Beezel actually lives in the house.
Non-zero. I love that. I think this is the important question that everybody wants to know. There is a certain appendage that gets ripped off of somebody. Did anybody get to keep that prosthetic?
That's a good question.
Where is that thing right now?
I hope we got rid of it. If that was still in our garage, that would be kind of strange.
Well, we do have a very fun box of props. So
I think it should be cased up and like put on top of a fireplace or something.
Absolutely.
If memory serves, I remember on wrap day, me holding it and going, so I'm going to toss this. Yeah. And Aaron goes, well, hold on a second. Let's take a look at it. Like, maybe we can use it again. We can use it.
Those
And,
leftovers.
and the whole crew is looking at it on my hand, and we're just like, so what? And I actually don't know the fate that we decided. Maybe it is packed up.
Now, be honest with me. When that moment in the film came, did you pause it? Did you rewind and rewatch that, or did you just?
I was just mouth on the floor like they really just did that.
Yeah, it was an oh shit moment for sure.
That's another one of my favorite things about this movie is it does not cut away for anything. Violence just stays on screen, right and center, does not cut away. That's something I've really appreciated.
Well, thank you, Mr. Director.
Well, no, I appreciate that compliment.
Has special effects been something that you're into, or is this something that you're recently getting into?
Do you mean the practical sense or?
Yeah, like the practical sense.
So I certainly started out with a strong like passion for that. I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cool. One of the very, very first monsters we ever designed is in this short film called Bedhead. And it's a pretty cool monster design. And that was one of the very first ones I ever did. That monster also shows a lot of energy I had at that time, because now Aaron has heard me not. I think it's just fatigue. It's like there's so many other hats we're wearing. There's so much other work that goes into a feature, that I have this deep appreciation for special effects artists and everything that they have to do, and how they have to be wizards with their makeup, make completely seamless seams, and they know what I'm talking about. The actor themselves has to sit there in the prosthetics as it's getting applied, then the long removal process. So once you really see how that sausage is made, pun intended, based on then you maybe stop wanting to make sausages, but I do still have a lot of fun with it when there's, let's say it's a smaller project and I can just, there's not as many hats to wear. I still can have a lot of fun with special effects.
Yeah.
You think that's accurate? Have you seen my?
Definitely.
Yeah, my excitement started really like, I'm going to make every single monster on this planet, and then it was like, these monsters are a really big undertaking.
Special effects makeup is, I mean, it's all a lot of work, but
Yeah.
special effects makeup to do well is very, very challenging. And, the best advice that I could give to anyone trying to do that themselves is simple is always better. I think a lot of people want to, get all of these big prosthetics and create this otherworldly monster. But if you just start with a person and just sort of zhuzh it up, and make it look a little bit more realistic without trying to do too much, that's usually more effective.
Yeah, I agree, because we've gone through the undertaking of doing heavily prosthetic monsters, and this, it's just personal opinion. Everyone's going to have their different flavors of monster creation, but those tilt toward my lesser favorites. I definitely prefer something that is based in a humanoid reality type of.
Victoria has shown me what is possible with toilet paper and Scotch tape.
Let's not forget the latex is everywhere.
Yeah, I
love
agree. I love I love practical special effects and monsters and zombies and all that. But yeah, I think less is more when it comes to that. So some contact lenses and some makeup on the face and some fake blood will do the trick.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
The kill scene, the second kill scene in this, I could not figure out how you guys pulled that one off. I was like, it doesn't look CGI. It looks really good. I loved it.
Same pun, by the way, when we shot that, we were like, can we pull this off? I think we will.
It looked so fucking good.
Yeah, so our visual effects artist, Sam Evenson, helped walk me through how to do that effect. And we actually did a screen test back in LA about a month before we even shot it. So I was the victim, Victoria was Beezel, and just in our apartment in LA, we just, did it. I won't say what it is because I don't want to spoil anything. But then when we went back to Massachusetts to actually shoot it, it took a few hours. We needed to set up a blue screen, and there were all of these blood elements that we needed to include. It wasn't easy. That was one of the most prepared and we were for any single shot, but it was also the most daunting, and
Mhm.
you never know how it's going to come out. But Sam did a great job, and
Yeah.
I know he actually brought on a 3D artist to create some 3D elements for that effect as well. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of planning went into that one, because that was, you know, certainly a cherry on top of that scene, that segment. And then, yeah, it was really all hands on deck. We had the practice, we had Sam on the phone, we had the whole team that's there. And then, of course, our performer, he had a background in stunt work as well, which doesn't, you know, you don't really exactly see this moment and think stunt, but
Mhm.
it just does. Like, he had a
Oh, it
physicality.
makes a
He
huge
he
difference.
really understood, and LeJohn is just so talented.
LeJohn brought so much,
Yeah.
and we didn't even realize as the filmmakers how much we needed LeJohn and all of his expertise, and not just acting but stunts.
Yeah, yeah.
It really just, his like physicality sold everything.
Just his on-screen charisma as well. Like,
Yeah.
I became a fan of his instantly.
Yes. Oh, he is such a talent. And the funny story about casting him was that we were really, you know, we're indie and we were trying our best to find
Mhm.
local talent. So when I put that casting notice out, it was understood that it was for local talent. And I think it was me who, I didn't realize that he was away. And so he got the notice anyway. And he later told me at the table when we're all together that I knew it was for local hire only, but I'm going to do such a great job that you won't be able to say no to me. And that's exactly what happened, because I watched his audition tape and then I was struggling. I was like, this is the guy. This is our guy. And I now need to go back to the budget and find how I can get him out here.
We've never been more excited to just buy a plane ticket.
I was like, we got to get him. We got to get him. So that was that.
I think it was a fantastic choice.
I agree.
Definitely hooked me right away. His charisma was fantastic. And then another thing I wanted to ask was this movie actually shot in order?
Hmm.
It wasn't. So, like I said, originally we were going to make an anthology.
Mhm.
What we did is we actually wrote the middle section with the night nurse first.
Oh, okay.
It was supposed to be a standalone film. And so what we did is we went to Massachusetts with our casting crew. We shot that, went back to LA. I cut it all together, and we showed it to friends and peers and colleagues, and everybody just resoundingly positively said this is probably the scariest thing you've ever made. And Vic and I watched it and we're like,
Great.
I think this is pretty scary. Like, I mean, I didn't even show Victoria anything until it was fully cut, just so I could get like as pure, unbiased of a reaction as possible. And I saw her jumping to her own work that she knew everything was going to happen. So that sort of galvanized us to then, instead of making two other standalone short films, it galvanized us to flesh out that story, no pun intended,
Mhm.
and write what happened before it and write what happened after. So we went back to Massachusetts with our cast and crew, and we began shooting the final act, the end of the movie first. Then we actually wrapped the film shooting the opening.
Yeah. And
So it was all out of order.
the choice to film the third segment, the final segment as the next installment, was really, I would say, like a resources and practical standpoint, because I was producing and acting. I asked Aaron, like, please, can we shoot my coverage first? That way I can just remove my actor's hat and immediately completely focus entirely on producing at that point. So he obliged, thank God, because yeah, it was, you know, it's a big thing to be kind of production managing a whole set. And then also I was so dialed into the Nova character. I really wanted to make sure I did her
Mhm.
justice.
Yeah, I was going to ask,
No.
since you have so many kind of different roles in the production of this, what was your favorite to do? Was it acting or producing, writing?
Oh my gosh.
What's your
I
least painful thing to do?
You know, it really was the acting. This was the coolest character I've had the chance to play. She's the most fleshed out, and she has all of these things going on. I absolutely loved her, and it was actually really sad filming her last scene, because, you know, I'm closing that chapter of getting to know this character, and I just had the absolute best time of my life being that character. I thought it was
And
awesome.
Victoria really committed. I mean, you know, she and Nico Robin, who plays Lucas, they were up until like 2, 3 in the morning, just
Oh, yeah.
practicing, just rehearsing.
Yeah.
over and over and over. So I think it was really cool to see Victoria sink her teeth into this character.
It was awesome, and he was such a wonderful partner on screen too, and off screen, because he was always available to do the rehearsals. He's been an actor for since he was a child, a lot longer than I have. I'm a newer actress in that regard, and so having that more seasoned person to rehearse and bounce ideas off of just made me feel it just helped me disappear into the character. At least I hope I did. So it was really a blessing. The whole crew, the cast, everybody was really helpful with that.
So is there any talks of doing a sequel?
Ooh.
We do have
No.
a backstory written for Beezel. So this was very important to us when we were setting out to make this movie, that we knew who Beezel was, where she came from, why she does what she does. And even though we don't explore that in this one, if we were to ever make a sequel, that is likely the direction we would go in.
We also ended the last segment in the 2010s. So
Mhm.
we intentionally gave ourselves runway so that if there would be more story, we had another time period that we could
Yep.
film a modern day reteller.
Yeah, so you can start at the beginning, or you can start from where you guys picked up. I love
Exactly.
that,
Exactly.
because I would definitely love to see more sequels. Yeah. No, I'm excited. You can tell all the passion between the acting, the writing. Like, again, I was blown away by the writing. I really emphasized that on my review that I recorded. But I was just overall amazing movie.
And thank you so much.
Seriously, I'm telling you, the writing, if you could just be a fly on the wall during our writing sessions, you would know how much that compliment means to us, because we are constantly shredding our own writing, trash, working on pages for days and days and days, then they just go straight in the trash, and you're constantly trying to push yourself as a writer, because that's the foundation of everything else to be built. So really, thank you for saying that and seeing that.
Absolutely. I'm excited for this embargo to end tomorrow, because I've talked to a few other people that have had the screener and they have nothing but great things to say as well.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I can't
That's
wait.
so
I
good
can't
to
wait
hear.
And then also, before we get off, Ian and I, this will be for both of you. We always ask whoever our guest is, if you guys had an unlimited amount of money, the rights to anything you wanted, what would be something that you would do a remake of, or add on to as like a sequel or even a prequel?
Oh, I've got my answer. I've known what I would do a remake of since I was a child, and I rented it 15 times at Blockbuster, which made no financial sense, but my family was like, keep renting it. And the answer is Clue. I want to make that in the worst way. And we keep getting like, every now and then I'll see my dream is almost like leaving, because it keeps getting picked up and
Mhm.
different rumors are happening with how it could be a sequel or remake could be done. And then something happens and it falls apart. And I think it's my time, Victoria's time. I'm gonna write it and produce it, and I am going to make a remake of Clue. I hope I will.
The last I heard, like Ryan Reynolds was supposed to star in one, but I haven't heard anything about that for years.
Yeah, then I think he stepped down and became more of like it's his production company now. And then I can't remember who jumped in now, but yeah, it keeps going into like development hell, and just let
Mhm.
it stay there until whom the rights owners see me, or until I can like get that meeting, because I'm gonna make the best Clue remake that y'all have ever seen. It's Clue, baby.
I love that. I love that answer. What about you, Aaron?
So, I mean, this is a really, really obscure one. The film, The Apartment, the Billy Wilder, Jack Lemmon film, even though it's not necessarily the horror genre,
Mhm.
it's such a great concept, and that is one that I've always thought, this would be like a really interesting movie to make today.
Wait, I don't even this is like the older one.
Yeah, that's just
Mhm.
I
a
don't even
teaser.
I didn't know you've seen this, but I've never even seen this movie.
I've mentioned this to you
You
before.
have?
Yeah. It's
I will.
it's
I
such a
didn't
great
expect
it's just
it.
such a great premise, and it actually it could even be done in a very dark
Mhm.
creepy kind of way. It's more so tipped in the favor of comedy drama.
Mm.
But I don't know what it is about that film. I'm just like, I don't hear a lot of people talk about it, but it's a known film, Billy Wilder, and I feel like it could make something really interesting today. I've also, after watching Rosemary's Baby, I would never want to remake that film, but expand on the world. And then of course I see
Mhm.
there's apartment 7A.
7, 8. I get to see that on a Friday. I'm leaving for Fantastic Fest tomorrow, so
Oh, very
Oh,
cool.
awesome. We've got
yeah,
some
I get
great
to see that one.
people going to Fantastic Fest this year. A few friends are going as well, and I'm just like, cool. I have my own thing over here too, but I was going to that as well. I wish I could be in two places at once. That was
Well,
really cool this year.
What I like about Rosemary's Baby is just, it's a very contained story. It's
Mhm.
simple and contained. And I think that's also what that has in common with The Apartment is these sort of single location stories.
You have me so intrigued
Mhm.
about The Apartment now because I have heard of it and I did like a scene from it for an acting class once, but I don't know the entire story. And for you to say that and also to hint that it could have this dark, creepy storyline to it, I'm like, ooh, now I'm gonna go watch it and yeah, let's see about it. Oh, but it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those answers, and I'm very excited for Beezel to be released to everyone here because I feel like the reaction is going to be very positive because it's an amazing movie. So I feel like you might just get those chances to make those movies here sooner rather than later.
Oh my
Thank you.
gosh, that would be a dream.
I really
An
hope
absolute
so.
dream.
I'm gonna do everything I can to put with the following I have to push this to as many people as I can.
Oh, thank you so much. I love just, we've had the movie, but we haven't really gotten to talk to too many
Mhm.
people who've seen it. We've just started to kind of do the press and the movie releases this week. So hearing you all ask these questions and also they're tailored to moments that we're proud of, the writing, the creature design. I'm just really, really complimented. So thank you so much for
Yeah,
checking it
it means a
out.
lot.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad
Yeah.
that
And like in all honesty, like I get so many screeners sent to me, and I saw this one. I was like, I haven't even heard of this one yet. And like I looked at it, the cover art was cool, and I read the synopsis. I was like, this actually sounds really fucking cool. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll try it out. And it was one of the best decisions I've made.
I'm so excited. I hope many, many more people feel that way. I hope many people check it out.
Yeah, there was a couple people who I also knew who got the email, and I was like, no, ask for the screener. It rips. You need to watch it. So, but no, thank you guys for coming on. Ian, is there anything else that you want to say?
No, I'm good. I just want to say thank you. Appreciate you guys taking time out to chat with us.
Thank you both.
Anytime you guys just want to kick it and talk horror, we are around. We love
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
Also, actually, when a couple weeks after the release and everything, and we can talk about spoilers, we would love to have you on for spoilers because there's a few things that I didn't bring up that I really want to talk about,
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
especially that has to do with the ending. We would love to have you back on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know we're all
Absolutely.
cryptically like person A has appendage B lost. It's like we can actually talk the nitty-gritty about that.
Yeah, I think I followed both of you on Instagram, so I can reach out to you. We can figure something out later on. But no, thank you guys for giving us the time today. So
Absolutely. Thank
That's
you for having
wonderful.
us.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great.
I hope you all enjoyed our conversation with Aaron and Victoria. Again, thank you to both of them for taking time out to hang out and chat with us today. I will include all of their social media links in the show notes. They have a YouTube channel as well with quite a few different short films and projects on there. So please go check them out. In addition to that, the day that you're listening to this on Tuesday, Beezel will be available. So you can check out Beezel on video on demand, buy or rent it on video on demand. And please go check it out. It's fantastic. It's fucking gnarly. Me and Colby both really fucking love this movie. So please go check it out. Go support them. So until next week, thank you all for watching and listening. Be safe out there.
Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you.
There you go. That's it.